So do you feel you're not doing enough? Do you feel that sometimes you simply don't care about your job, about your work? Well, I was giving this talk at Oracle Code One, and one guy said that the problem that he's having in his career is that he's complacent. That he's not doing enough. Right? He said that he works great on his job, and he does it well, but a lot of times he just doesn't care. Right? And he also said that he's been like this for the last 7 years, right? So he's stuck. He's stuck in his job. He doesn't care. And a lot of times he just doesn't care about what's going on. So he's feeling stuck. So every time you don't care about things, right? Of course you're gonna feel stuck. You're gonna feel you don't care, right? And if you don't care for your job, how can we actually get that job in a good way, right? How you actually do this job in the right way. And so if you're feeling like this, if you're feeling that sometimes that you don't care, or first of all, let's separate these things, right? You can't be productive every single day of your life. That's not gonna happen, right? You can't feel great about everything you're doing in absolutely every moment, every minute of your work, right? There will be times that you will feel like you don't care, you feel like you're tired, you feel like that that you're burning out, right? That's bound to happen. It will happen from time to time. So don't worry too much if those things happen, right? But there's a difference between that happen from time to time, and then you feel like this is happening for many years, right? Months, in a way, or even years, like this guy was having. If you're feeling that you don't care for many years, then something is really wrong, right? Something is not right, and it's probably that you're not enjoying your work, or you're not challenging yourself enough, right? Maybe your work is becoming boring because you're doing similar things all the time, for example, or maybe your work's becoming boring because you know everything. This is one of the most frequent reasons, right? You know everything you're doing. You go to your work. You know all the code that's going to be written. You know all the code of the project. You know everything that needs to be done, and so the challenge of the work has disappeared. And once the challenge disappears, what happens is that you're not excited anymore, right? And that's why you feel you don't care. So it's important that you have some challenges. It's important that you work in your work that your work it's important that your work become challenging. So you can do this. You can change. You can create challenges for yourself, right? How you can do this? Well, you can go work on areas of the project that you haven't worked before. You can experiment with new technologies, for example. You can try to implement new things that you haven't done yet. You can actually go to other areas of your company, and maybe in other areas of your company you could try out and see if there are interesting projects in other areas of a company that you could work on, right? Maybe you could take on more challenging work, right? Maybe you can do you could come in and implement some very, very difficult parts of the project, right? Or you could actually go and work on open source projects related to your project, right? So maybe you could go on and maybe you use a library, an open source library, for example, and instead of you accepting that it works kind of like what you want, you could actually go in and try to change it in a way that improves the way you use the library, and then you can participate in the project, right? You could actually, if you're a Java developer, for example, you could actually try to take a look at the code that you write related to the Java VM and see if there's anything that you can improve in terms of performance on your project, for example. You could all of those things could be interesting things that would make the project more interesting. I'm sure you can think about lots of others. So if you're feeling you don't care, right, you have to understand that is this because that's probably because the project stopped being challenging. And the problem is that if you don't take your responsibility to make your project more interesting for you, right, to make your project more challenging for you, what ends up happening is that you're gonna start feeling that, this project is not for me anymore, right? I don't like to work in this company anymore. I don't like to work here. I'm going to look for something else, right? And then what happens is that actually your company is going to lose you because, because they just don't know. They just don't understand that you want different challenges because you want different things. So another good option is go talk with your boss, right? Go explain to your boss that you want more challenging things because, at this moment you simply don't care, right? But just don't stay forever on that situation. Don't stay forever on this thing that you don't move, that you stay for years and years in a situation where that you stop caring. This is really bad, right? It's gonna sap all your interest, right? It's gonna eat you inside, and then what's gonna happen is that at some point you're just gonna give up, right? You're gonna give up the project, you're gonna give up the company. You're gonna, maybe you even, some people even try to give up development altogether, or they change careers or something like this. So, don't let this happen for too long. And there's lots of ways for you to do this. We talked about some of them, but one interesting way for you to regain the challenge and regain the interest, right, is just go get with the things that you already know, the things you already do in your projects. Go share with others, right? Go tell them, talk to them about the challenge of your projects. Go in a user group, in a local user groups, or maybe in a university setting where you can tell the universities, the students, the things that you do and the things that you work with. And although you might think, but the things I'm working with, they're all old things. But there's a lot of things that we do in our daily projects that they're very, very interesting for people that never participated on a project before, right? So you can come and you can share that knowledge, you can share that things with others, and we see this time and time again. Once you start sharing the things you're doing, you start seeing the things in a new angle. You start seeing things in a new light. And what ends up happening is that you become more interested in the things that you're doing. And not only this, when you start sharing, people will ask you questions, and with those questions, you're actually going to start going deeper into your project, going deeper into the things that you're doing, and that's going to be a lot more interesting, right? So you go work on an open source project, go work on a library that you already use that's open source. Go find different areas of the project that you haven't worked yet that could help you out. But whatever it is that you do, go share your knowledge. Go share the things that you do, because once you start sharing the things that you do, it creates a new synergy. It creates a new light in everything you're doing, and it gets a lot more exciting, a lot more interesting, right? So this was one of the questions that I got on Oracle Code 1. My presentation that I did with Rodrigo Moutinho, and if you go on the links below, you can join our Code for Life project, and that project has a lot of tips and a lot of ideas for you to improve your career. And if you have more questions about your career and how to improve your career in lots of different ways, please ask on the comments below. Tell me what's your biggest challenge that you're going on in your career right now, and I'll be very happy to try to give some hints and some ideas. It's very good to have you guys here. I'm waiting for your questions. This is Bruno Souza for Code for Life. Thank you.